Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Emmy Petite, and here I talk about all things lifestyle, fashion, beauty, social media, and entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Today I'm going to be doing a influencing Q&A where you guys get to ask all your questions about influencing, influencer marketing, what it's like for me as a full-time influencer and entrepreneur. So I'm going to dive right into those questions. If you are not already, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. That's where I pulled these questions from. So definitely give me a follow on Instagram if you are, wanting to participate in further or future Q&As. That's where I pulled these questions from. So make sure you're following me there. And we're gonna dive right into this influencing Q&A. Be sure to subscribe. Other question, how do you get brands to partner with you? Couple different ways that I get brands to partner with me. So primarily the first way is brands reach out to me. So they'll either email me. Most brands email. Anything that's coming through on the DMs is kind of like possibly sketchy or unpaid, or it's maybe local. So sometimes they'll like household brands are not hitting you up in your DMs, just to be honest with you. Maybe it's like a local restaurant that's like, hey, we want you to come by, da da da, would you be interested? And then, obviously you make that exchange of, hey, here's my email, they'll email, and then you guys can negotiate whether there's gonna be a rate or not for that visit. So that does happen with like more local things that you might get a DM before you get an email. But more often than not, brands are emailing me and asking like if this is something that I'm interested in. And obviously if it's not something that I'm interested in, then I kind of pass it up, which that happens a lot. And then the other way is platforms, influencer platforms. I've been less on influencer platforms lately, but I do them if it's a brand that I've wanted to work with, in hopes of like transitioning the relationship off platform. And then the other way that I get brand deals is by pitching. So I'll reach out to brands that I want to work with. I pitch them and I introduce them to myself, and they're like, oh my gosh, we never knew who you were. Let's collaborate. That's happened quite a few times now. So pitching. You literally, you have to ask. You have to make it known. You have to put your foot forward in order for you to get those things that you want. You have not because you ask not. So ask, pitch, really position yourself and leverage yourself to the brands that you want to work with and pitch them. How do you leverage pricing as a nano influencer? Okay, so pricing is one of those things where it's a tough question, right? Because it's so tailored and specific to you, your brand, your following, your engagement, your quality of content. There's so many different factors that play into pricing. And there's so many different like models for pricing, but the reality is you decide your pricing. You decide what is going to work for you. So, I've heard people base their pricing off of their, how many hours it takes them to create content. I don't do that because my value is my value, regardless if it took me 20 minutes or if it took me 3 hours. So you're going to get this rate. You're going to get this rate, whether, which the content's not typically created in 20 minutes, but whatever. But you're going to get this rate because my value is really the thing that I'm positioning. So leveraging pricing as a nano influencer, I would say don't ever charge anything less than 4% of your following. That's just rule of thumb. Do I think that 4% is always enough? No, and that's just for an Instagram in feed post. Like that's always the starting. So I kind of like work my way up. So Instagram in feed post. Okay, this is how much a round of stories would cost. A round of stories is going to be 3 to 5 frames of stories. And then when you do 3 to 5 frames is typically like a round of stories, and that's what brands typically want. So I set like a rate that, each thing is at. And then I also create kind of like bundles. Like if a brand wants, okay, I want an Instagram post, Instagram stories. I want an Instagram post, Instagram stories, and ad usage. So you kind of like have an idea. But it really is so specific. And I hate like when people ask this question, or when I watch videos and people ask this question, you're like, but give me an idea. So typically you're going to charge no less than 4% of your following for an Instagram post. And the way that I go from there, this is just the way that I kind of price, is I would charge anywhere from 4 to 10% for an Instagram post. And that's just dependent on the brand, the scope of work, what is it going to require of me, for the content that I'm envisioning, what is it going to require of me? How much time is it going to require of me? I got new equipment. I'm taking all these things I'm factoring in. Also, how valuable am I to this brand? I consider myself a very, very valuable voice to one, Black women, to two, curvy women, to, millennial women. Like, there's so many different elements of me that make me like a desirable influencer or someone that would be beneficial for a brand. So I take that into consideration with my pricing, and I price on the higher end of the spectrum because I know my quality of work. I know my consistency in my work. I know I'm not going to, give a brand a headache. Like, I just know my worth. So I do charge on the higher end. So anywhere from 4 to 10%, and you really just determine what you want to do from there, but think about an Instagram post and say, this is my rate for an Instagram post, and then kind of build your other, services as follows, factor out, okay, so if an Instagram post is $800, then maybe a round of stories for that post will be, okay, $300 or $400, whatever the case may be. So it's really up to you. The other thing that kind of like plays a part as well is like licensing. How long do they want to be able to license? Do they want to be able to license these photos? One, so licensing, whether they want to use those photos on a website, they want to use them in an email, they want to use them on a billboard, they want to use it in ads. If you want to use my photo in ads, baby, it's a bill. Okay, it's a bill, and listen, you're going to pay this bill because it's going to provide you with more sales and more conversions, because you now have someone who literally is wearing your outfit that fits the various people that you're trying to attract. So the curvy woman or whatever the case may be, and you're going to make that money back in your ad usage. So, I charge for all of those things, and it's very specific to the niche, the industry, the brand. And so all those things are very, very specific. And, if you ever are interested in like knowing more about that, just DM me and we can like set up a time to talk. But that it's just so specific for each particular campaign as well. So campaign with this brand may be, $2,500, and then campaign with this brand may be, $800. So you never know, Ooh, I love this question. What is your favorite part about influencing? My favorite part about influencing is connecting with people. Like, I love having conversations with people. I love DMing people, talking to people in the comments. Like, it is absolutely my favorite part of it. And right now I'm in a place where like I'm busy doing all this other admin stuff that I don't get to do that as much. And it's hard. Like, I won't lie. It's really hard because that was like really what I enjoyed doing. Like so much. Yeah, because that was really what I enjoyed doing so much. So it's kind of hard when you're not able to do that. I love this question right here. Hey sis, any tips on growing my audience? Not the same recycled information out there. I love that. I really, really love that, because she's kind of like, don't tell me all the mumbo jumbo that everybody else be telling me out here. What's the real tea? Give me the real. Okay. So let's chat. Here's the situation with growth. Obviously, let's just talk about the recycled, quote unquote, recycled information. That's maybe some of you guys don't know. But definitely, being very, very clear and defined as far as like what type of content you're creating. So bios are actually really a important part to start with growth. When I find someone else's page, and I tend to like, yes, look through their content, but I also look at their bio to just see like, okay, like what is this person about? Like, do they align with me? So having a clear bio where you state like, hey, I am a fashion blogger, or I'm a beauty blogger, whatever the case may be, where you've really defined what type of content you're creating, what type of value that you have, where you're located. These are all things that are like going to factor in. Maybe even if you were like specifically just curvy blogger, putting that in your bio so that like a curvy girl like myself would know, oh yeah, this person's literally going to be dropping looks for a curvy girl like me. Secondly, quality content. Quality content that has value. So when you post, do I feel like I'm learning something? Am I being entertained? Is the quality of the imagery like up to, like, is it lit? Like, am I like going to be, searching for your post each week to see like, oh, what outfits did she come up with? Or, what advice does she have to give this week? Or what stories is she going to tell us? Does she have funny videos? Whatever the case may be, making sure that your content is quality and value. Hashtags. Utilizing good hashtags. I will make a whole video about like just social media strategy and social media tips, but realize that you have 30 hashtags and you really should optimize them for your growth, because hashtags are going to allow people from different interests to find you based off of those hashtags that you're using for the different content that you're creating. Realize that hashtags are one of the only searchable terms on Instagram. And so you want to be utilizing them well in an optimized way so that people find your content and decide to follow you. So those are like the typical, like, post daily, post consistently. I don't believe that posting daily leads to growth. I believe that posting consistently leads to growth. Consistently means that you're literally always posting the same type of quality, the same level of value. You have like a certain trend that you follow so people can rely on you, they can rely on your content. But sometimes people are just posting daily and it's like, okay, today's post is fire, tomorrow's post is like, you took it in the dark, like, and I can't even see it. So keeping that consistency so that I know what to expect from you. And that will allow for a certain level of growth as well. Now, if you can post consistently and post daily, that is great. That potentially will lead to a lot of growth, but you have to know how to read your analytics to see if that's actually benefiting you. Daily posting is great if you are able to keep the same level of consistency, the same level of value across all of your posts. So really just finding out what consistency means for you, because a lot of times people confuse consistency with frequency, and it's like, just because you're posting every day, it doesn't mean you're posting consistently. So let's get the two together, consistently and frequent. Okay, so those are typically like the, oh my gosh, like everyone's advice, kind of leading into some more like different advice, I guess you could say, for growth. Obviously, reels right now are super amazing for organic growth. So if you are creating reels, making sure that you also put a call to action for people to follow for more. So follow for more content like this, whether you're putting the call to action in your caption or you're putting the call to action in the actual video, or doing both, to make sure that people are seeing and also hearing that call to action. That can lead to growth as well, especially if a reel goes viral. But definitely making sure that your reels are on brand. So don't just make reels about anything. Make sure that they're on brand with what you are already discussing on your page. And so that they bring in followers that would also be interested in the other content that you have on your page. So reels is a great way to grow. Now, going into a little bit more different territory, shout outs. So if you are a mommy blogger, you might want to connect with different like mommy feature pages and see what's required of a shout out. So maybe if it's like, oh, you have to tag hashtag, Mommy Monday in order for us to even see your content to be able to shout you out. So, taking a look at the different feature pages in your niche, seeing what is required in order to be featured on their pages, and making sure that you do those things in your post in order to, be eligible for a feature. Some feature pages will actually also allow you to pay them for you to be featured on their page. So I would only want to be featured on like niche specific pages. But if it is something where you're like, you know what, I want the exposure, I want the leverage, then you may even want to consider paying a feature page. I think most of them, like, it's pretty low. It's like $20 or something like that, depending on the feature page. Some are more expensive, but either try to get featured on feature pages organically, because when you're being showed in front of their audience, which is like a larger audience, now people who are following, mommy bloggers are us, they're going to come and follow you because you've just been featured and they're looking for more mommies to follow. So shout outs, So either through feature pages or through other content creators. So you can even do like a roundup with other content creators. And let's say like, if it was for mommy bloggers, let's just say, if it was for mommy bloggers, then you could do, like a roundup of different mommies, and sharing your favorite, mommy resources or whatever. And you guys each share each other on your stories, and you say, go follow such and such because she gives great tips on, holistic parenting. I don't know, whatever. Like, just being able to like collaborate with other content creators or influencers in your niche and allowing each other to shout each other out, because that will also help with organic growth. Now, I also want to talk about this because I am someone who understands that a personal brand or being an influencer is a business. And every business, and I work in marketing, I'm a marketer, so every business has a marketing budget. So you have a marketing budget. I am a marketer, so I understand that every business has a marketing budget, right? So in order for a business to really do well, they need to advertise, they need to market their products. And when you're a personal brand, when you're an influencer, you are the product. So you have to market yourself. So you're going to obviously utilize all the organic methods that you possibly can, but as social media, Instagram, Facebook, all these apps are becoming a little bit more and more difficult to grow organically. It's more of a pay-to-play system, right? So there are some things that you may want to consider. So you may want to consider, okay, like, do I have a marketing budget for my personal brand? Am I willing to invest in my brand in order to, and we can't say invest in order to grow. What the goal is invest to be exposed to my target audience to then grow. Because you're not just like paying for growth, you're paying to be exposed to the people that you want to be a part of your community, the people that you want to find you, because right now it's hard. It's hard to find new content creators. The best thing that happened to me towards the tail end of last year was getting on Clubhouse, and I was able to meet so many new content creators that I'm like, how have I never seen your content before? This is crazy. So that's another growth tip. Get on Clubhouse. I know it's not as popping anymore, but like if you're really active there and you talk a lot, like people will follow you on Instagram. I think I probably gained like, I don't know, maybe like 700 followers from Clubhouse maybe. But either way, making sure that, if you want to make money from this, you may actually have to invest in your brand. So whether that be that you are doing giveaways can be a little bit questionable depending on what the giveaway is. So there are healthy ways of doing giveaways that are not shady, that are none of that, but are very specific to your niche, to your industry, that is going to allow for you to be exposed to your target audience in order for them to grow in your community. So they can come into your community and be a part of your community, and you can then grow your following. Now, you don't want to do this all the time. Giveaways are something that you want to be really precautious with if you are not growing organically. The key to success is not giveaways. If you are not growing organically, do not do any of the tips I'm going to talk about from this point on. It's not, you have to get to the point where you're growing organically before you can actually implement any of these like advanced growth strategies. So giveaways with other content creators that are, either in your same size, in your same niche. If you guys come up with, okay, you know what, twice a year we're going to do a giveaway. As mommy bloggers, we're going to give away a mommy makeover, or we're going to give away what are like the cool baby things now, like a dock-a-tot or whatever the case may be, like something that a mom would really, really want. We're going to give away a year's worth of diapers. Who cares? I don't know what it is. But make it very specific to your niche. If you're a fashion blogger, maybe you give away, we're going to give away a shopping spree to Gap, or whatever the case may be. Or maybe we're going to give away this purse because everybody wants this bag right now. But make it very, very specific to your niche, because you don't want everyone entering in the giveaway. You want very tailored people coming into your page. So giveaways are another way. Another way to promote your page and your content to be exposed, to then be able to grow, is ads. advertising. So like I mentioned before, I'm a marketer, so I run Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and I do promote my content. So I promote my content either within just like the promotion tool on Instagram. So you'll see that little like blue promote button. So there's two ways to promote content on Instagram and Facebook. You can either just boost the content, or you can actually go into a complete ads manager and create ads and promote them that way, where you have a little bit more detailed and specific targeting. So one way you can promote your post is by clicking on this little boost button, and it'll allow you to boost your content to a specific audience, and more people will be able to see that piece of content and they'll engage with it. What tends to happen as well with that is that you will get followers as well. When I am posting consistently, I might promote a post. If I'm posting like every day of the week, maybe one post a week. If I'm not, maybe like one post every 2 weeks or one post every month. And it typically brings in a good amount of followers. So depending on the post, I think the best one I've ever done brought in about 200 followers, which I was like super surprised by. But yeah, like it'll probably bring in anywhere from like 50 new followers to like 200 if you just like promote it for a couple of days for like $5 a day. Now, you need to be very specific about your targeting. So that's something that you would have to learn in order to like really actually, you know, market that piece of content for what, $5 and gain, you know, followers. So you're really just paying for exposure so that you can be seen by the people that you want to be following you. So a lot of times people get a little bit confused, like, oh, I just want to grow organically, and that's great, but we're not in 2015 Instagram. Even 2015 Instagram, people were complaining. You know, it's just not as easy to grow organically anymore, and that's okay. You know, I think we also have these unrealistic expectations of growth where people want to grow like thousands of followers a week. And, you know, that's going to either require a lot of work in the content creation side, that like content that goes viral, or it's going to require some budget in order to get your content in front of the eyes that you want to see the content. So you can either promote your content that way, and I wouldn't recommend that you do too much promotions. This is something that you need to like really be cautious with, because once you start feeding the beast will expect to be fed in order to continue. So I don't put much money behind my content, because I don't want Instagram to then make my content so that it needs to have money behind it in order to perform. So being cautious of that. I also do run like little Instagram story ads where I kind of either have video content that, you know, showcases the type of content that I create on my page, and direct people to my page and if they want to follow me. And that tends to work really well as well. So promotions, you know, sometimes you're going to have to pay for that exposure. Also just realizing that, you know, what leads to growth? Exposure. So figure out ways that you can expose your brand. So whether that be hopping on a different platform and, you know, allowing for that to grow you, like Clubhouse, like Pinterest. If you're not already, taking your content on Instagram, plugging it into Pinterest and making it linkable back to your Instagram. So when people see your content, they're coming to find you on Instagram, or they're coming to follow you on Instagram, because Pinterest is a search engine. It's a search engine. So when you put your content there, people are going to come and find, and that you don't even have to put money behind it. You can literally link your Instagram content onto Pinterest, and it'll, you know, encourage growth, because when people find your content on Pinterest, they're going to want to follow you on Instagram. So in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking for a new way to get more followers, think about exposure. How do I get exposed to more people that are in my specific target audience? So maybe that's going to be organic. Maybe it's going to require money. You decide what you're going to do, and you try to get yourself, you know, exposed to more people that are in your target audience. Of course, you need to make sure that you have quality content, because just because you're exposed doesn't mean that they're going to convert and become a follower. But when you have good content, then they will convert and say, oh, I want to follow this person. I haven't seen this person ever. Let me follow her. So that would be like my non-traditional growth advice for you. Another amazing question. Someone asked, what are the pros and cons to influencing? So the pros are, it's a lot of fun, like especially if you are like super interested in a particular topic. Like I love fashion, I love beauty, I love talking about different like pop culture, current events. So this is a lot of fun for me, like to be able to get paid to just kind of like live my life and do the things that I enjoy. Like it's like almost unreal when you really think about it. So I think that that's a pro. I think also meeting people like from, you know, different walks of life, getting to know about them, the people that you meet while influencing is super awesome as well. I would say something else that's fun is just being creative, like being able to be creative, come up with creative concepts. Creating content can be fun. And the free things that you get, right? Like the free things that you get from the brands that you love, and just the experiences that you get that are free. So all of that is like really awesome. I think those would be the pros for me. And the freedom, right? Like you kind of have the freedom. If you are full-time influencing, you kind of have the freedom to just like live your life, make money, create content, you know, that's cool. The cons are, I don't think influencing is hard, but it's not as easy as it looks. And maybe it's not hard for me. I really enjoy this. Like I really, really enjoy what I do. But it is not as easy as it looks, you know, like we are literally everything, right? Like we are the admin, we are the manager, we are the negotiator, we are the lawyer, we are the photographer, we are everything. All in one, the model, the makeup artist, the hairstylist, so many hats that you have to wear in order to do this job. Which, you know, it's a blessing, but it can be, you know, it can be challenging at times. And also just like the mental part of it as well, because when you think about it, like I'm someone who is a firm believer that you probably shouldn't be on social media all day, every day. That's just, and I'm a social media manager, social media strategist. I don't think it's healthy for anybody to be online all day, every day. And, you know, a lot of experts will tell you like, you need to be on every single day. This is your job, this and the other. I don't think that that's healthy. So I would say that that's probably like a con, is like people in the industry like put on this expectation that you're supposed to be on every single day. I'm not a believer in that. Not what was meant for me never missed me. And I don't, like, if I want to spend the day off of social media, I do, you know, like I don't require myself to be on all day, especially if I'm not feeling well or if I'm not, you know, at my best, you know, and greatest potential. I'm not going to do that. I mean, obviously I'll relay that to my audience, but I'm not going to, you know, show up all day, every day, because I have a real life to live as well. So I'm just very like cautious of that, like, you know, just making sure that my mental health is good. So I would say that that's one of the cons, because working online, working digitally can be a lot and it can be really draining. So you have to just like really just check in with yourself and make sure that you're good. So that can be a con. I think another con is just like the common misconceptions, you know, like people will see and they'll just say like, oh, you know, she's this way or she's that way. And I don't think I've dealt with this as much. But I know that a lot of other influencers do. And it's tough because it's just like, you're literally judging someone based off the 2 seconds of their life that they're showing you. So like, just be, you know, mindful of that. That does happen, which is why it's so important to be authentic online. Like be authentic, because then people will see you for who you are and won't expect anything more than that. But when you try to come online and portray everything as perfect, that's when we start to get into some problems. So be authentic, because you know, people like to make misconceptions, regardless of how authentic you're being, by the way. So that's just the reality of it for an influencer. You know, I have plenty of influencers that I've followed, or like, you know, that I've watched their journey, and you know, as they get bigger and bigger, it's like people are just really vicious and they can be really mean. Not to me. My community is lit and I love them. They're the bomb. Other cons would be, you know, you're in a very performative and competitive industry. So if you don't deal well with that, that can be hard, because people are constantly, you know, comparing to each other and, you know, all those things. So you have to be really rooted in yourself and just be able to say like, hey, this is my purpose. This is what I do. I don't care. Like, you know, you got to put like a horse that's running in a race, put your blinders on and focus on what you got to do, because you can't be looking at what Susie's doing or what Susan's doing. You got to do what you got to do. So really just staying focused, because it could be very like, you can go down a spiral of like, oh my gosh, but like, I don't do it like her, or I don't do it like her. There's a reason why you don't do it like her, because you were meant to do it like you. So staying focused and not allowing the competition and the performances to like steer you away. So that's another thing. Other con is just like how on you have to be. Like, you really have to be on your device, guys. If I told you like how many messages, emails, DMs, it's too, like, it's a lot, you know. And I personally love that side. I love that side. I love creating the content and talking to my people. But when you're also doing all the admin and everything else, something takes a hit. And right now, like, my communication with my community is taking a little bit of a hit because I have all this other like admin and my other business to run. So that's tough. And you're always just on your, you know, always on your phone. You have to set boundaries for yourself. So that can be another con. I think it's like a healthy balance, you know, like the pros and cons. I think there's more pros than there are cons, if I'm being honest. Especially if you're keeping it real. If you're keeping it real, there's more pros than cons than anything in this industry. It's a lot of fun. There's so many benefits. It's so new, yet so much money can be made in this industry. So more pros than cons. But I love that question.